As we transition and look at this case in our back office user interface, you can see a vast difference in the amount of information that we provide to investigators compared to what is given during intake. Across the top, you'll still notice that we have our case stages. This time they are collect, enhance, analyze, execute, and resolve. Additionally, on the right-hand side, we have our case assets, our cardholder information, attachments, and case tools. To begin, we will discuss the information available to the investigators in each of these case stages and how the user will move cases forward to ensure we're looking at all recovery options as well as completing a thorough and adequate investigation. To start, we have the collect stage, which houses the information that we gathered through the intake of this case. The information gained in the collect stage is completed by the intake agent or is entered by the cardholder through a self-service option and is already completed when the investigator begins to work the case. The next stage we have is enhance. In this stage, we begin with the initialization step, which is completed automatically by the system. This step takes each of the transactions that were disputed and assigns them specific dispute numbers. This allows us to take individualized decisions on each of the transactions in a claim without impacting or affecting the overall status of the claim. Additionally, as we reach out to the associations, we can use this dispute number as a unique identifier for each of the transactions in dispute, and this allows us to automate recovery processes where applicable. The second step in the enhanced phase is our enrichment step. In this step, we're reaching out to the association through the automation process to enrich each of the transactions in dispute. From the associations, we are pulling back both the authorization data and the posting data for each transaction. We store that information on each individual transaction so the investigator can access that in QFD as needed to complete their investigation. On top of facilitating the automated recovery flows, this also reduces the need for investigators to go outside of QFD for additional transactional information. As we move forward to the analyze and execute stages, these two stages go hand in hand together. In the analyze stage of the claim, we are making decisions about actions we need to make to move this case forward. These decisions can be systemically driven through automation, or they can be driven by associate intervention. In the execute stage, we are completing the execution of those decisions, again, either through automation or through associate intervention. The first step in the analyze phase is our collaboration step. In this step, QFD is making an automated call to Ethica and/or Verify to attempt resolution on a cardholder's behalf prior to beginning a chargeback. This call is automatically made in an attempt to recover the funds from the merchant. QFD will then update and store the Ethica or Verify decision on this case and move it forward as needed. If the merchant informs us that they will be providing a merchant credit, the system is built to pin the case for that credit and to auto-match that credit off to show completion of this investigation. If for any reason the merchant is unable to provide a response or a credit, QFD will move the case forward to the next steps. The next step in the analyze stage is the provisional credit step. In this step, we're making a decision whether or not to issue a credit to the cardholder while we complete our investigation. This decision can be automatically driven through the intake and initial interaction decisions, or it can be presented to an agent to review prior to making this decision. In this case, we can see that in the intake portion of this claim, Mr. Wentz was provided with a provisional credit, so this step is now completed. We can also see that the accounting is now pending for that credit to take place and be placed on the cardholder's account. The next step in the claim review is the fees portion of the investigation, where any fees that are associated with the transactions being disputed will be presented to the investigator to review. The investigator can review the fees for any potential returns as needed. QFD can handle the accounting of these returns if it is deemed that they are due to the cardholder. Additionally, with the proper transactional data, QFD can automate this fee review and refunds to the case. In this case, no fees were associated with the disputed transaction, which means that this step was left unselected. Next, QFD will allow us to review for any interest that may be impacted by the disputed transactions. Again, if we have the correct transactional data, we can automate this interest review for each client. If for any reason QFD requires the assistance of an investigator to review these interest items, this would be presented to an investigator to allow them to review and adjust interest calculations as necessary. In addition to reviewing the interest, QFD can automate the accounting steps necessary to return this interest back to the cardholder's account. The last step in the analyze phase is our disposition step. This step is where the investigators will spend the majority of their time working on these cases. From the disposition step, we have the ability to review transactions to determine whether or not we have recovery options. Additionally, we have the option to review these transactions to make a pay or deny decision. In this claim example, we have the two transactions that Mr. Wentz is disputing. We can begin by reviewing what it would look like if there were a do not pursue recovery action selected for either of these. By clicking on the button here in QFD, it is going to ask us for the reason we are not attempting recovery. We can add our notes to the box provided. In this case, we could say that the transactions are past the recovery timeframes. And then it will ask us what action we would like to take with these transactions. Are we going to pay them and write them off? Or are we going to deny them? Depending on the option we select, QFD will preload the appropriate correspondence to send to the cardholder based on our decision. QFD comes fully equipped with a complete letter package to ensure clients are staying compliant with regulatory requirements around communication. If we did want to review the recovery options available to the investigators, we can simply click on the Review Recovery Options, and that will allow us to see the recovery information that has been pre-filled for us based on the information we've collected so far in the claim. QFD will also highlight what, if any, items are missing from the recovery flow to ensure that we are processing chargebacks correctly the first time, every time. For MasterCard claims specifically, QFD will also create the dispute resolution form required for each chargeback. It will automatically attach the form to the chargeback as well as store it in the attachments section in QFD. As we complete the recovery decisions, we can now see that the recovery step in the execute claim stage is now pending completion. QFD will complete the recovery step automatically by initiating the call to the association to file the chargeback. Once that call is completed, QFD will update the disposition step to show that we are pending emergent response to this chargeback. As the dispute is pending, QFD has an automated agent that will make a call to the association to listen and update any time there was emergent response to the chargeback. Once the response is received, whether it is emergent response or a pre-arb, QFD will update the dispute with the information received from the merchant, including any documentation received. It will also update the task to ensure that an agent can review the information and continue the recovery process. QFD can automate each step in the recovery process up to arbitration. Because of the potential fees associated with the arbitration process, as well as the limited frequency in which they are pursued, we recommend those actions be taken directly with the association to ensure their exactness. As we continue forward, the last steps in the execute stage are as follows. The accounting step is used to track the completion of accounting taking place between QFD and the system of record and/or cardholder. This can take the form of temporary credits, fees and interest refunds, as well as a denial of the claim. QFD does not, however, process the settlement accounting between the associations and the financial institutions. This process would continue business as usual as it is being handled currently in your system. In addition to the accounting step in execute, in the lower right-hand corner of the user interface, we have our accounting tools that can be utilized. In this tool, we can see where the money has moved so far in this case, and where it is currently offsetting. This allows us to reconcile any money movement that may have occurred so far in this case. You will notice that this will track both accounting that QFD is completing, as well as accounting that is for tracking purpose only, such as settlement accounting. The next step in the case is account maintenance. This step is used to track automated calls between QFD and the system of record for any updates that we are making to the account overall. This is where you would see the call to block and reissue the card was completed on a fraud case, as well as any interaction notes that we are moving between QFD and the system of record. Next, we have the fraud reporting step. This step is completed immediately after our enrichment call to ensure that we are reporting fraud with the associations in a quick and timely manner, to protect both the bank and the cardholder. This step is only applicable on fraud cases. Lastly, we have the notification step. This step is used to track the sending of correspondence to our cardholder. This involves both email and mail being sent. Additionally, in the case tools in the lower right-hand corner, we have the communication hub. This is where we will store all documentation that has been sent out on this claim. From here, we can resend correspondence if needed and review what has been sent to the cardholder. These letters are stored here for a minimum of 7 years to ensure that clients are staying compliant with requirements for document storage. There are additional tools that can be used throughout the claim's life cycle located in our case tools. This is in the lower right-hand corner of the user interface. One tool, the Notes option, is where the investigator can leave notes documenting the decisions that they were making on this case, as well as the reasonings for their investigation decisions, regardless of pay or deny. The investigator can use the Related Cases link to see if there are any cases associated with this cardholder or account to ensure that they are working all items from across this cardholder's relationship. They can add fraud information, like suspect information and police report details if they are received. Lastly, if the investigator wanted to pull in a new transaction list, they could click on the Transactions link to see anything new that has come in through the cardholder's account. As we scroll up, in the top right corner of the user interface, we can see the case assets for this claim. This information is a quick reference for the investigator to know what claim type, whether fraud or non-fraud, they are working, as well as the claim reason that has been filed. Additionally, at the bottom of this section, we show the regulation dates applicable to this claim. For Reg E, we will track both the 10-day PC status as well as the maximum 45 or 90 days of regulation. For Reg Z, we will track the day 30 acknowledgement as well as our max date for decisions. In these cases, QFD is built to keep our clients compliant with all applicable regulations. If a decision is outstanding on a case and that regulation date is reached, QFD will take the appropriate action to pay the claim and keep the financial institution compliant with those regulation deadlines. We have found it's generally much cheaper to pay a claim for a client rather than go through getting fines and fees for breaking regulatory requirements, as well as any complaints or audits that would stem from those failures. QFD is built to keep our cardholders and our clients compliant. In this example, we see that the Regulation Z acknowledgement date was satisfied because we sent the initial confirmation letter when the claim was initiated. We can also see that the max Regulation Z date to complete this case is December 19th of 2021. So if no one else touched this claim until December 19th, QFD would pay this claim on the regulation date. This is certainly not what we would recommend as the best practice of completing a claim, but QFD is built to ensure the decision is completed within the regulation timeframe. In the upper left-hand corner of the user interface, there is the Get Next Work button. This button is used by associates working in the back office to receive the most urgent work in their work queues. QFD is built to decentralize the claims work. There are no employee work baskets or work queues that individuals need to maintain. Instead, QFD owns the claims as a whole and will only present decisions to investigators when needed. As part of the onboarding process with QFD, we will work with our clients to ensure we create the appropriate work groups so that work is routed appropriately to the investigators. From a leadership perspective, this is a huge win because QFD doesn't need leaders to load up work for agents to be effective. The work is constantly moving through the system, and agents can hit the ground running every morning. An additional benefit for leadership teams is that QFD comes equipped with a suite of reports as our out-of-the-box offering. These reports cover a variety of topics ranging from accounting and recovery to maintenance of the work queues and compliance reports regarding Reg E and Reg Z. These reports help in the reconciliation of dollars moved, the overall work queue maintenance and monitoring of work volumes, as well as provide guardrails for the leadership teams to ensure they are working things in a timely manner. The last major benefit we want to cover with QFD is the biannual mandates releases from the associations. Every April and October, mandates changes are released with updated recovery workflows and actions. Quavo maintains and updates QFD regularly to ensure that our clients are staying compliant with these mandate changes. We work with our clients to ensure they have proper training and information prior to the mandate's release, as well as ensuring that the mandates changes are updated in our clients' environments so they have little to no downtime with these changes. This is one additional step that Quavo takes to ensure working these processes is as easy as possible for our clients. This concludes our demonstration of Quavo's fraud and disputes claims management software. If you would like more information, please make sure you're reaching out to one of our claims experts. Thank you for your time and have a great day.